Cheers.
Cheers.
You got to stay hydrated, okay? especially
So important.
especially if you're going to be speaking, right, in front of a live audience here. Welcome to the show, and today we're going to talk about knowing your numbers. Many of you may not know that when Dan started his journey as a lifestyle medicine physician, we opened a center. We opened a lifestyle medicine. It was an integrated lifestyle medicine center right in Wakefield, Massachusetts. And that is where on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, we would hold groups, and it would be 6 to 8 week long. Some of you who are on the program today might have been in those groups. And what we did is we took people on a plant-based journey for 6 to 8 weeks, and we actually, what did we do, Dan? We took the lifestyle vital signs. What's
Right.
the word I'm looking for? We actually had it documented. That's the word I was looking for. We documented those lifestyle
We collected the
vitamins.
data. So whatever those lifestyle vital signs were and blood work that we collected, we compiled it so we could show that even in a short period of time, 6 to 8 weeks, you can make a difference
Yes.
in your body's health. And that can be shown by the evidence in your blood and in your vital signs.
Yes. And so today, that's what Dr. Dan is going to talk about, what those lifestyle vital signs are. And you will want to have this documented for yourself as you're going on your journey, because the numbers don't lie, right?
Right.
I mean, just talk about one that a lot of people just know, because many people may just have, is a scale. And so although we don't focus on weight, because we're like all about health and longevity and lifestyle and vitality and virility and, having a quality life. And it isn't always about weight, okay?
No.
And, Dr. Dan will talk about that today.
Everybody's built differently. It's so important to know what those numbers are, lifestyle vital signs, because you have to be able to measure so that you can monitor,
Yep.
control, and most importantly, adjust
Right.
when they're not going in the right direction. So you don't know unless you measure.
Yes.
So once you start measuring, then the process can begin.
So Dan has a really cool story about collecting that data that he did collect, and then meeting with one of his mentors, idols.
I think he was the biggest influence out of all.
Yeah.
Where when I met Caldwell Esselstyn for the first time back in 2008,
Right.
I was at a conference with Pamela in Chicago, and he spoke and he told my story. Like many physicians,
Right.
they're feeling it today, that they're not making a difference. Writing prescriptions, doing procedures isn't the way we make people healthy. We need to help them with their daily activities, with their lifestyle. And so Caldwell Esselstyn got up on a stage, told his story, and I said, that's what I want to do. That's the way I want to take care of people.
Exactly. And you shared with Dr. Esselstyn what you were doing down at your lifestyle center, which, by
Right.
the way, was called Wiwat, which is a Polish name, a Polish word that means to life.
To life.
Wiwat Integrated Lifestyle Medicine Center. And he shared with Dr. Esselstyn about the data he collected and the results
Right.
that the patients were getting.
Caldwell came to Massachusetts, to Boston, to do grand rounds. And that evening, after he gave grand rounds, I had the opportunity to have a private dinner with Caldwell. And we went to a great vegan restaurant in Arlington and had such a great time. However, he said to me, Dan, what have you been doing? And I told him about my program, and I told him I was collecting the data, and I shared that data with him. And you should have seen his face. His face was like, Dan, why aren't you publishing this data? This is such important information. Well, I'm busy. I don't always have time to write down everything I want to write down. And so I haven't published the data, but I share the data every time I speak about what an impact small, habitual lifestyle changes that you can make that can make a big difference on your overall health, and it can be measured.
And this is our first nutritional principle. We have 8 nutritional principles, and they're actually posted in the files, and you can look at them there. And over the next few weeks, we're going to be breaking each of them down one by one so that we can do a little bit deeper dive into each one of them. But also just to know that what we're going to do after this video, so this week, look for it, we'll post it here, is we're going to give you like a little cheat sheet on these lifestyle vital signs so that you can bring them, maybe put it on your refrigerator, bring it with you to your doctor's appointment so that you will have handy what lifestyle vital signs that you'll want to be measuring, monitoring, adjusting, and controlling throughout your journey and your lifestyle. Okay, your lifestyle journey.
Because lifestyle medicine is really about 6 different principles, but the foundation of lifestyle medicine is nutrition.
Yes.
And so what were the principles that we were going to follow, or even help patients or help people and teach people on what these principles are that they can follow every single day and make it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. I know most of everybody knows if we were to give them 2 choices, which is the more healthy choice. Everybody knows that. So how are you going to go about these nutritional principles? And so we put 8 of them together, and we're going to share them with you.
And so the first one is knowing your numbers. That's what Dr. Dan's going to break down for you today in like the next 10, 15 minutes or so. And then look for that little cheat sheet that we'll put together this week so that you can have that handy as you're documenting your progress. Okay? So go to it, Dan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the page and I'm going to answer any questions. So if you have any comments, any questions, post them in the comments, and we'll have a little Q&A at the end so that we can get everybody's questions answered on this topic.
So thank you. So many
Good luck,
times,
Dan.
so many times, patients come to me and say, Dan, I would like to get all these labs done. Or, Dan, can you help me figure out how well I'm doing with my lifestyle? And can you check all of these markers in my blood? Well, sometimes we don't need to know all of those markers. It's best to just get the basics down. And when you get the basics down and they're all within normal limits or where you want them to be, then you know you're doing well. And you don't have to chase some of these more subtle little markers that you can find. Now, if there's problems and you want to see, you're doing all your lifestyle medicine and all your nutritional principles and you see that your numbers aren't going in the direction you want them to go, then you can look at whether it's something that's genetic or something that you just can't control in your body, and you just have to do the best you can to get them as close to where you want them. So when you think about things that you have to measure so you can monitor, adjust, and control, think about lifestyle vital signs. Just like when you go to the doctor, they check your vital signs. They check them because they're vital. They're important for you to know and for them to know so they know where you're starting in your health journey. So the lifestyle vital signs, very similar. You should know your blood pressure. And today, we're looking for blood pressures that at least should be less than 130/80. And sometimes even the numbers are being driven down because the lower the blood pressure you have, the better, to even less than 130, into the 120s, and even less than 120 for the top number, the systolic number, and then less than 70 even for the bottom number, or at least 75. But if you think about 135/80 and keep it less than that, that's a great start. So blood pressure, number 1. Number 2 is the resting pulse. What is your pulse at rest? Sometimes it's difficult to measure when you're running into the doctor's office. So you just want to sit down, maybe take 3 deep breaths, and try to slow your body down, get that parasympathetic nervous system going so it can help you just relax, and check what your resting pulse is. Yes, of course, if that resting pulse is over 100, you know you're in trouble, but you're aiming for resting pulses less than 80, and even better if they're less than 70. But if they're greater than 80 and even greater than 90, those are resting pulses that you want to, it kind of measures what state of health that you're in, and you want to get those numbers down. Usually it's through more physical activity when you strain your heart, and you can get your resting pulse then to be a little bit lower. Then it's your height and weight, and your height and weight is important because obesity is like one of the leading risk factors for all of chronic diseases. Our fat cells are a major metabolic organ. So knowing your body mass index, which you get by calculating your height and your weight, that's a good measure of where you stand. It might not be very accurate, but at least it's a good measure. And the last vital sign for lifestyle is your waist to hip ratio. Just measure your waist right around your belly button. That's where your waist is, not down by your hip bone. And then right around where your pubic bone is, down in your hips. So that waist to hip ratio for men should be no greater than 0.8, and for women, no greater than 0.9. So that's what we're looking for. If it's greater than that, you just got some work to do. But at least you know, you measured, and now you can adjust. So the lifestyle vital signs being your blood pressure, your resting pulse, your BMI, which is calculated from your height and your weight, and your hip to waist ratio is a great way to start to know where your overall health is. So many of these vital signs are so closely associated or so closely correlated to chronic disease. That's why it's good to know. Then you want to try to check some serum markers. Let's see what's going on inside. Really simply, 6 blood tests that everybody should get. Yes, again, as I say, I get questioned all the time about these panels of tests that everybody wants to get because they want to check all these small little nuanced blood tests when there's problems in the family, when there's certain medical history that you have, then yes, we can check those. But to start out, where's the baseline? It starts with the complete blood count. Your complete blood count measures the different types of blood cells in your blood. The white blood cells that fight infection and are good inflammatory markers. Your hemoglobin, which is the all-important protein that carries the oxygen in your red blood cells that then delivers that to the cells which they need. Such a vital sign to know, because even the hemoglobin is a great reflection on your overall nutritional status too. How much protein you're getting in your diet. Anemic people that have low hemoglobins might just need to make some adjustments in their nutrition that they're taking in. And the complete blood count also gives you your hematocrit, which tells us again what percentage of red blood cells make up your blood. And sometimes if it's very high, that's because you're dehydrated, that your serum, your actual liquid that's in your blood, the fluid that's in your blood, is too low because you're grossly dehydrated. And then finally, the platelet count. And platelets are those little cells that help plug up our blood vessels, even at the capillary level. We're damaging our blood cells all the time, and we always need to repair them, but the platelets keep those blood cells healthy right away. They'll plug up any kind of little damage we make in them so that then the repair process can happen and we won't lose any blood. So complete blood count, first serum marker for all of those reasons. Next is the complete or comprehensive metabolic panel. Love the comprehensive metabolic panel because it gives us our fasting blood sugar. It'll tell us all about our electrolytes. It gives us kidney function tests so we know how well our kidneys are functioning and what the glomerular filtration rate is to see how the flow is going through our kidneys, making sure that that's healthy. It gives us our liver function tests too to tell us how stable and healthy our cells are in our liver. So the comprehensive metabolic panel gives us great information for overall health in various organs and systems in our body. The next thing I like to look for is the lipid profile. The lipid profile will give us how much your total cholesterol is. And everybody needs to know that. A major risk factor for the #1 killer of men and women in the world, cardiovascular disease. So total cholesterol, and you really should shoot for total cholesterols of less than 150. From the studies that have been done right here in Framingham, Massachusetts, the Framingham Heart Study, it shows that people who keep their cholesterol, their total cholesterol, less than 150 have no cardiac events, not even any cardiac symptoms. So if you want to be free from cardiovascular disease, as as much as you can be, the number one killer of men and women in the whole world, look at your total cholesterol. Get that total cholesterol as low as possible. Yeah, about ratios and all that, and specific types of cholesterol, total cholesterol is your best measure for overall risk of cardiovascular disease. They do break down when you look at the total, at the lipid profile, the HDL, which is the good, the high density lipoproteins, and the LDL, the low density lipoproteins, which are the bad cholesterol. They do give you that breakdown. Men and women should have HDLs, high density lipoproteins, greater than 55. LDLs, low density lipoproteins, the bad cholesterol, less than 100. And if you keep that ratio the way it is, you'll land, because the total cholesterol is the addition of both of those together, you'll land in that 150 mark that you're looking for. The lipid profile also gives you your triglycerides, and your triglycerides are also a reflection on how much fat is being transported throughout your body at any given time, and the triglycerides should also be less than 100. So HDL greater than 55, LDL less than 100, and triglycerides less than 100, giving you total cholesterol of less than 150. Next, I like to look at the C-reactive protein. And C-reactive protein is a great marker for the overall inflammation in your body. It's pretty non-specific, so if you, let's say, banged your toe or cut your toe, your C-reactive protein would go up because there's inflammation going on down in that toe. But if you look specifically at the high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which is another blood test that looks more closely at the inflammation that's happening in your blood vessels, a great cardiac marker, your high sensitivity C-reactive protein should be less than 1. So it will help you understand what's going on. What is the inflammatory processes going on within your blood vessels, which then can lead to atherosclerotic plaques, heart disease because of the blockage of those blood vessels, or even peripheral vascular disease because of the blockage in those blood vessels that deliver the blood, the all-important nutrients and oxygen to the cells of all the organs in your body. So after high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, I also like to check homocysteine levels. Homocysteine, again, a product of normal processes in your body, but a great marker for the digestive process, and if you have any problems in your digestive system, it will be elevated. Also for all of the detoxification processes that go on in your liver. All the methylation reactions are run and produce homocysteine levels. So if you have lots of or elevated homocysteine, that is a great marker for almost every chronic disease, whether it's heart disease, cancer, obesity, all of the diabetes, all of the chronic diseases that are killing so many Americans, 75 to 80% of us every single day. Homocysteine, arguably the most important marker in our serum to test whether or not we have good detoxification and good metabolic processes going on. And that homocysteine level, normally they say is between 5 and 15. We really like to see it less than 10. In that 5 to 8 range, that's where you want to be for your homocysteine levels. And finally, the sixth serum marker that needs to be checked is your vitamin D. And vitamin D, again, we call it vitamin D, but it's not a vitamin, it's a hormone, or even better, a prohormone that has a receptor in every cell of your body. And more importantly, that receptor is in the nucleus, in the brain of the cells in your body. So it influences our DNA. It influences how our cells work all over our body. So when your vitamin D levels are low and you're deficient in vitamin D, which most of us that live up here in the Northeast are, because we just can't get the right amount of sun, or the amount of sun we get gets reflected or deflected off the ozone layer. So we need to keep our vitamin D levels monitored so we know what type of supplementation that we require. The vitamin D levels should be over 40, because when vitamin D levels are over 40, then we know you have a lower risk for chronic diseases like heart disease and stroke, and even things like diabetes and cancer can be fought off, or at least lower risk when you have normal vitamin D levels. So important that we all know our vitamin D. It is a hormone that has a receptor in every cell of your body. So those 6 serum markers, the complete blood count, the comprehensive metabolic panel, the high sensitivity C-reactive protein, the lipid panel or profile, so that you can see where your cholesterol levels are and how that's being monitored. 5th would be the homocysteine levels, overall health, metabolic processes, digestive system issues, all marked by your homocysteine levels. Detoxification by your homocysteine levels. And then finally, your vitamin D. And what level of vitamin D are you functioning at? Your cells want it. They have a receptor in every vitamin D. In every cell in your body, there's a vitamin D receptor. So if you're thinking about lifestyle medicine and you want to start measuring, you want to start discussing these things with your provider on how you can get these things measured so you can monitor, adjust, and control, lifestyle vital signs and serum markers are the best way to know your numbers. The very first nutritional principle we all need to know. We will see you guys again next week. Thanks for joining in this morning. Again, put everything in the chat and I will catch up to you. Thanks. Bye-bye. I hope that helps you guys understand how you can check your own lifestyle vital signs.